Welcome to IT.Solution, your total network, system, firewall, and security partner.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking the fundamental architecture of small networks and turning it into an actionable blueprint that you can actually use. Whether you're setting up a brand new small office from scratch, or you're trying to wrap your head around the core foundations of massive enterprise systems, it all starts right here. So, let's dive right in. Building a reliable network is a lot like building a house. You wouldn't just start nailing boards together without a plan, right? You need a solid foundation and proper plumbing so the whole thing doesn't collapse. As this quote hits right on the head, a networking model is your blueprint. It ensures your network has the structural integrity to handle whatever demand you throw it at. Here is our architectural blueprint for today. We'll cover 1. The anatomy of small networks. 2. Selecting your network devices. 3. Addressing and redundancy planning. 4. Managing traffic and protocols. And 5. Scaling for future growth. Let's start with Section 1, Anatomy of Small Networks, Framing the SOHO Environment. Okay, take a look at this setup. This is your classic small office, home office, or SOHO network. It's completely grounded in reality. You've typically got a single wide area network connection, and the whole thing is managed by a local IT tech. But what's really fascinating here is how this perfectly captures the essence of almost any modern business. You've got your end users, a printer, maybe an IP phone, and it's all funneling through a central switch and a router out to the internet. The foundational rules happening in this small setup, they apply just as strictly here as they do in a massive global corporate headquarters. Moving on to Section 2, Selecting your network devices, Choosing the right materials. Now that we know what the house looks like, how do you actually pick the right materials? Well, when you're selecting your switches and routers, you have to balance these 4 critical factors. First up is cost. You've got to balance your budget against the features you actually need. Second is the speed and the types of ports. Ask yourself, do you need high-speed fiber? What about power over Ethernet for your access points? Third, expandability. Sure, your business is small today, but what if you double your headcount next year? And finally, operating system features and services. You absolutely need hardware that supports the security, routing, and management protocols that your specific network demands. So let's see how those chosen materials actually come together. From the PCs sitting out on the edge to the intermediary switches and routers, every single device here is a crucial, load-bearing pillar in your physical layer. Data originates at your end devices, flows right through the intermediary switch and router, and successfully lands at its destination. Every piece plays a vital role. Section 3, Addressing and Redundancy Planning. Time to map the floor plan. All right, you absolutely must plan and document a logical IP addressing scheme based on your device types. If you just start handing out IP addresses randomly, I guarantee you'll be completely lost when an issue pops up. But if you know that, say, all your intermediary switches are in one specific IP block and your network printers are in another, you can instantly narrow down where a problem lives just by glancing at the address. It makes troubleshooting drastically easier later on. But what happens if one of those pillars fails? To keep your network house from collapsing, you have to build in redundancy. This means installing duplicate equipment and links for your most critical areas. Imagine if that single router we looked at earlier just dies. Boom, your entire office loses internet access. Redundancy means planning for that exact nightmare scenario, ensuring there is literally no single point of failure that can bring your operations to a grinding halt. Which brings us to Section 4, Managing Traffic and Protocols. Installing the plumbing. With the rooms mapped out, we need to talk about how traffic flows. Our plumbing. Think about standard data traffic versus voice and video. If someone is downloading an email and it pauses for half a second, they won't even notice. But if a video conference drops packets for that same half second, the call becomes chaotic and jittery. If you don't prioritize real-time traffic over standard data, your voice and video are going to suffer from extreme lag. This is why configuring quality of service, or QoS, is an absolute necessity, not just a nice-to-have. And that need for QoS leads us straight into priority queuing. Think of priority queuing as a VIP lane in your network's plumbing. A router categorizes all the traffic into different queues. By ensuring your voice and video data are put into the highest priority queue, the router is always going to clear that VIP data out onto the network before it even glances at the standard data queue. Now, to manage all of this safely, administrators rely on some essential foundational protocols. These protocols define exactly how messages are formatted and transmitted. A huge takeaway here is security. You should always be relying on the encrypted versions of these protocols. For example, use Secure Shell or SSH for remote access instead of the older unencrypted telnet. You've got to make sure you're protecting the administrative access to your network infrastructure. Finally, Section 5, Scaling for Future Growth, Planning the Home Extension. Your business is going to grow, and eventually, you're going to need to build an extension on that house. But you can't safely add more rooms if you don't fully understand the current load on your foundation. To scale successfully without breaking what you already have, you need to follow these 4 steps. Systematically document your current topology. Audit your device inventory. Itemize your IT budget. And, critically, perform a traffic analysis. That analysis lets you see exactly what applications are stressing your current network, so you know what hardware to provision for the expansion. When you strictly follow those scaling steps, it's pretty amazing what happens. As you can see here, your small SOHO foundation can securely expand into a highly distributed enterprise architecture. A small home office can securely connect through the cloud to a branch office and all the way to a central hub. The fundamental rules of the small network, they haven't changed at all. They've just scaled up to meet the demands of a larger organization. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If your small network is literally the blueprint for your future enterprise, what decisions are you making today that might bottleneck your growth tomorrow? Every single choice, from the devices you select to the way you plan your IP addressing scheme, sets the stage for your future. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep building strong foundations, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.